So, this is Jonas from EduToolkit telling you about some of these open badge infrastructures that are available at the moment. And two I'm going to compete is called Open Badge Factory and something called badgelist.com. So in Open Badge Factory, which is the first one I used, it's a Finnish team who started it. And as you can see, it's a first welcoming page having a lot of graphic and quite good information. Once I created my badge, you can see how it has now been the badge details as PNG file. And the next thing is also I created EduToolkit as the issuer of this badge. And if I now want to add this to someone who achieved all the criteria, I can just put in their email and then I can then continue, and then they can get the link to add it to their backpack. Mozilla Backpack, I assume you already know about. It's where you use Mozilla Open Badges to share them and store them. When I create the badge, it's something called Creator Tool in the badge library. And we get into this one. You see that there is 5 steps, and even though they try to make it very simple, you still have quite a few of details. You have the criteria, and you have some message, and then in the end you have a preview and you have pictures and everything. So it's a lot of functions and all of this with this one. At the moment I'm on a pilot account, so I assume this will soon be something connected to a charge. So that's why I'm looking for alternatives. If we look at the Open Badges blog, Open Badge Factory, they have took up some good, interesting discussions here, and they are how to avoid badge inflation, flooding the system, loss of meaning, which is a discussion that I think is relevant to when you start to create badges for learning. How to avoid fragmentation, having badges trapped in their issuing environments. That means like you can only get them from a certain provider. How to manage the badges, and who can create and issue badges within the system, and also then to evaluate the impact of badges in the community, like how is it used. Now let's have a look at the competitor, or the ones that I've been looking at the moment, and that one I have here, and that is called BadgeList. When you get to BadgeList, you see that it's very simple graphical layout. It just says BL, not even BadgeList, and what they have created is that they have different learning groups. So BadgeList themselves have created a learning group, and then they have listed different types of badges. And then there is also, during Hour of Code, there was a code teacher or coders that were created there. And then I joined the team and created EduToolkit as a learning group, and within this group I created 3 community badges that I've been using since 2012. And as you can see, it's a very simple interface here, and when you see their own presentation, you can see here we are talking more about a badge system for evaluating learning. So their tutorial saying that you start by creating a learning group and who wants to create and learn badges, and then within this one you also have a context for this one. So here if you have NASA astronaut training, as you know, that is a well reputable badge issuer, and that's the whole idea of this group. So within this context you build badges for different skills, and you see here they can represent achievements or set of skills, and also there should be clear evidence of how to get the badges. And here comes the part where you can see how they connected it to like university and PhD dissertations. So in this case she actually, Christine Hammock, wrote like a draft about it, and then a second draft with some experiments in, and after a while her tutor from the university has awarded her a badge saying that this level you reach now is enough to get this badge. And as you can see, that was the introduction to it. This is how it looks when you create a new learning group. Again, very simple layout, and this is the only cost I've come across, and I even spoke about the ones who developed it, and they're saying that if you want to have a private group, then there will be a fee of $1 per user per month after 5 users. But also observe that if you're a teacher, you can get up to 50 free users to like start developing badges in learning. But what I've done so far, I've picked the public one because that is free for unlimited users, and anyone can join. Once you create a group, like here we have the group, you explain, like link to something outside badge list. So badge list is just again the open badge infrastructure, and then below here you can see each badge being listed, and then the next thing is a description of it, and then here comes the evidence. So to get the badge for contributor, you have to contribute to an open education resource, and in this case we have our WordPress blog where we can publish it, and then you get it as a contributor. The next thing is if you created a learning activity, and learning activity means more like a course or a training. And then the supporter part is again if you somehow are advocating or a cause or movement of EduToolkit. When I create a new badge, you get to this page, and you get it a name. And if I just now do this one, so I call it Badges for Real, which is one of the projects we're running at the moment. And then I just say text, and here it will also say that should be quite a good description, so if it's just too short it won't accept it. Evidence is in this case that you create challenge or tutorial on badges for real.se is what we have. So when you do this one, I am saying that then you will upload your, what you saw there actually is you can randomize and get badges generated, but I prefer my own PNG files. So if I go to here, I have here badges for real icon, so I open that one. And now when I go back to the bottom here, I can now say here is also who can make changes to this badge, and this is now I will get it to all admins, so I can allocate admins in the group. And now we are probably having a bit of background thinking, so let's stick on the music and see that it comes on. So you can see now here it's created. Here is the evidence and everything, and that is how simple it is. There's no verifications, there's nothing, it's just our badge and we can start using it. If you look at one that you can use already now, it's like once you have a conference organizer, it says here. So for instance, when we have badges show and tell, we will say build your badges. We definitely will have some badges to build. We will run our conference, and then once we issue badges to the participants in this one, you will post this as evidence, and then the experts will then award you with this badge. So that's something we're going to test next week when we see each other. They also have some connection with LinkedIn, because that's a way for academics to show your badges. And here, as I say, you can see that BadgeList allows you to track learning evidence and award badges based on that evidence. In your organization, if your organization wants an effective way to issue Mozilla Open Badges, check out badgelist.com. And that's what I would say, it's an easy way of doing it. The ones behind it are called Knowledge Stream, and most contact I have had here now is with Ben Room, who is in San Francisco. So that was a short run over about 2 different open badge infrastructure. This is BadgeList, which is the one I've so far looked into for academic purposes and easy, and the other one is the Open Badge Factory. As I said, it's more promoting themselves as being a system. They call themselves a global badge infrastructure, cloud-based. They even start talking about, and you see how they focus on more like professional training, I would say. So this is all for this presentation. Thank you for watching.